There is a place beyond the reach of light, beyond planets, moons, and solar winds. A place so silent that it seems to vibrate with ancient energy. It is here, nearly 24 billion kilometers from Earth, that Voyager 1 floats in such absolute darkness that it seems like the very edge of time. Launched in 1977, this spacecraft was designed to withstand more than we thought possible in terms of engineering, but no one imagined it would survive this long, or that it would continue to communicate. Now, however, in a twist that no one saw coming, Voyager 1 is not only transmitting data, it is revealing secrets. Something has changed. The signals emitted by the probe have begun to behave in a way that defies decades of scientific expectations. Encoded pulses, impossible temperature fluctuations, and strange behavior in its orientation are combining to point to a terrifying conclusion. Voyager 1 may have found something, or been found. What exactly lurks in the deep void between the stars? Why did Voyager 1 suddenly change course, turn around, and start transmitting new information that stunned NASA's top scientists? What you are about to see and hear could rewrite everything we think we know about deep space and our place in it. Voyager 1 began as an ambitious mission to photograph the gas giants, a journey that was thought to last no more than a decade. Its original trajectory took it beyond Jupiter and Saturn, capturing never-before-seen details of their moons, storms, and magnetic fields. But when the mission accomplished its primary objectives, NASA noticed something extraordinary. The probe was still healthy, functional, and moving forward. So they decided to let it continue, directing it toward the unknown. For decades, the spacecraft continued to send data across the vast emptiness of space. Scientists received information about the interstellar environment, solar particles, and background radiation. But what's most incredible is that all this was achieved with 1970s technology, a probe with less memory than a digital clock, operating only with radio waves and energy from decaying plutonium. Voyager wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. But over time, subtle changes began to appear. Instruments turned on by themselves. Software that hadn't been updated in 40 years began to behave unpredictably. NASA attributed this to cosmic radiation interference or hardware deterioration. After all, a spacecraft that old had plenty of reasons to fail. But the frequency and pattern of these anomalies were too precise, too synchronized to be simple glitches. In 2023, the Deep Space Network detected a transmission unlike any other ever sent by Voyager 1. Instead of the typical slow, monotonous transmission of scientific data, engineers received bursts of precisely timed pulses. Each burst contained layers of information that, when decoded, revealed harmonics, frequencies that suggested resonance. Some researchers compared it to a form of language, not one spoken by humans, but one that could only exist in the vacuum of space. Then the most puzzling thing happened. One of the thermal sensors, believed to have been inactive for years, began transmitting temperature data showing cyclical patterns of heating and cooling. Measurable changes that had no plausible source. Voyager 1, floating in the coldest part of known space, was heating up, and not randomly. The cycles were every 4.8 hours, constant, rhythmic, intentional. Even more disturbing, the probe began responding to messages from NASA before they were fully transmitted, sending packets of information as if it anticipated questions from Earth. This behavior set off alarm bells among the engineering team. How could a machine without artificial intelligence, without advanced predictive algorithms, know what Earth was about to ask? And why was it doing this now, after more than 4 decades of silence? While the ground team searched for answers, Voyager performed its strangest act to date. It began to alter its own trajectory. Without instructions, the probe made micro-adjustments using its remaining fuel, slowly diverting its course by a few degrees. NASA's attempts to correct its course were ignored. The commands were received, but not executed. It was as if Voyager was no longer listening, or as if it was listening to something else. The new trajectory did not point to a known star, nebula, or gravitational anomaly. It pointed toward a seemingly empty patch of space. To the naked eye, there was nothing there. In infrared and gamma rays, even less. But according to Voyager's data, something was there. Something that emitted a very faint, pulsed frequency, matching the strange signals the probe had begun sending months earlier. Even more disturbing, its cameras, which were believed to be turned off, turned back on. And instead of capturing distant stars or galaxies, they produced a spiral pattern, a distortion that resembled a map of magnetic fields. Only the pattern moved, pulsed, and was embedded with numerical ratios linked to hydrogen signatures. Voyager wasn't picking up light, it was recording information. Weeks after receiving the spiraling data, NASA and SETI researchers were overwhelmed. The pattern wasn't just visual, it had structure, intent. Layers of data embedded in electromagnetic waves pointed to something more than a natural phenomenon. It was a signal. And not just any signal. It contained prime numbers, frequency intervals, and vector maps. Then came the final confirmation. Voyager transmitted a coordinate, one that intersected the galactic plane at a very specific distance. When plotted, it formed a triangulation point between 3 known pulsars and a void between them. In essence, a location, a destination. Experts began to debate. Was Voyager being called? Was it just relaying what it found? Or was it under the influence of an external presence? The scientific community was divided, but one thing was certain. This was not a glitch. It was a message. One constructed using Voyager's own systems, its language, and its data history. And now, it's heading straight for it. As Voyager 1 entered the silent region to which it had been redirected, its instruments began to pick up something that defied all existing models. The data did not suggest a black hole, a dying star, or a cloud of dark matter. What it detected was a complete void, so absolute that even the background microwave radiation seemed to bend unnaturally around it. The team at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory compared the data with archived star maps and discovered something chilling. A star that should have been there, documented since 1997, had disappeared. It hadn't dimmed. It hadn't collapsed. It had been erased. No traces of infrared heat, no gravitational influence, no residual radiation. As if it had been ripped from the fabric of space, leaving a perfect void. Some scientists began to murmur about a possible localized failure in reality itself, a tear in the cosmic code. Shortly thereafter, Voyager 1 transmitted a sequence of anomalous signals that, when analyzed using spectrograms, revealed something no one expected: a sound. Not the usual hum of deep space, a coherent pulse. It repeated at precise intervals, like sonar bouncing off an invisible surface. What disturbed researchers most was the delay between each pulse. When calculated, it suggested that the signal had originated more than 13,000 years ago, somewhere in deep space, and was only now reaching the probe. A message predating all of recorded human history. But who sent it? And why did they encode it in such a way that only a spacecraft traveling at the speed and trajectory of Voyager could intercept it? Theories ranged from ancient alien beacons to time loops generated by gravitational distortions. But one possibility stood out. Voyager did not find this region. It was called. As news of the strange findings spread, researchers at the James Webb Space Telescope pointed their instruments toward the coordinates. What they found froze the entire astrophysics community. There was no visible object. There was no structure, not even a planet. But the space there was curved, as if by a gravitational lens, but with no mass at its center. Even more disturbing, inside that gravitational lens, the James Webb detected a thermal signature identical to that of Voyager 1. Except that the real Voyager was still light years away. Was this a reflection? A duplication? A paradox? The data suggested that time itself might be distorted in that region, perhaps even repeating itself. Was Voyager approaching a place where past and future blur, where light and data repeat themselves back and forth? A pocket of space-time like we had never seen before? Amid the confusion, a group of fringe theorists, quantum physicists, and artificial intelligence researchers published an explosive hypothesis. Using AI-powered simulations, they proposed that Voyager had entered a region of space governed by a different quantum regime. In that realm, matter, time, and information did not behave as we know them. Their models showed a repetitive structure in the last signal, an algorithm not created by humans, but designed. Something, or someone, had embedded a kind of quantum key in that region, accessible only at specific frequencies, like those emitted by Voyager. What if Voyager wasn't exploring the universe at random? What if its trajectory was guided by a cosmic intelligence that anticipated the development of humanity, one that wanted to be found, but only when we were ready? What Voyager 1 has discovered is not just a scientific anomaly. It is something deeper. A cosmic puzzle that challenges our understanding of time, space, and reality itself. For nearly 5 decades, this small spacecraft has floated silently in the void, carrying the dreams and questions of humanity. And now, as it reaches the farthest edge of the known universe, it may have discovered that the universe is much stranger than we ever imagined. Are we about to answer a question we never knew we were asking? Have we received the first whisper of something, or someone, watching us from beyond the stars? One thing is certain, this is not the end of the Voyager story. It's just the beginning of a new chapter, one that forces us to rethink everything we thought we knew about our place in the cosmos. So, what do you think Voyager found out there? A flaw in the universe? A door? Or something even more unimaginable? Leave your theory in the comments. And if this discovery made you question reality, even for a moment, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more mind-blowing revelations, and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming. Because if Voyager 1 has just confirmed, this is only the beginning.